Hello and salutations. Can I change the let's try and change the but that makes me look so shiny. I look so shiny. Like a Pokemon's. Volume should be up right now. I'm just naturally checking audio balance because that's my entire state of existence. It's great. We love book notes. This should be fine. Been making a lot of fun like doodles in my book notes, as you will see coming up. But salutations friends, and welcome to another book review. I did this time around The Scourge Between the Stars, which I read a hot minute ago. I'm behind desperately on book reviews. I have this one and one more, and then we'll be caught up, and we're just going to combine the quarters for quarter 2 and quarter 3, and it's going to be great. Finally found my kefia as well, and I'm so salty about where it was, but I digress. Yeah, we are going to describe the Scourge Between the Stars. Plot-wise, it's not like a ton to describe, and then we'll go ahead and go into some fun lines. I'll show you all of my goofy little doodles, but before that, if you like these streams or whatnot and you want to support me, I also write books, and you can check out these 2 books. At the moment, Imani and Aaliyah is my new adult romance, and that you can get for free, the digital copy for free, on Itchio. Link is down below. There's also a link to where you can purchase the Queen of Thieves series. This is book 1 of 4 so far. And also linked down below is, I don't know why, I should have sworn I put this fucking link in a while ago, but it was not there. But now down below you can actually find a link to support people in crisis all across the fucking globe, because they're happening all across the globe. So Sudan, Congo, Haiti, and then I believe in that also links to people in Gaza and the rest of Palestine. And there's also links to, because I recently found out that Canva is a Zionist company, and my goal is, and I think I can make it, is to fully have like all of my stuff pulled from there and be able to use it and be able to use something else by next year, by like the start of next year. And I think that's a goal that I can accomplish. Hold on, we have a baby. Baby wants attention. Okay. Nugget's going to join us for this introduction. I think I can manage to pull all of my stuff off of Canva and start using a different graphic design program, but until we officially do that, probably after anyway, we are keeping links to non-Zionist graphic design programs down below. Snappa is one. It's essentially where my tabs go? Okay, the people on the ship are like, we don't have any real reason as to why they ended up leaving the last planet. Everything we do know about it makes it seem like it would be perfect for the purpose of recolonization, and we know for a fact that they essentially, with what fuel we have left, we really could not make it back to Earth without a whole entire fucking miracle. So we think that we should turn backwards and go back to the other place. That's a bit of a fight, and it's particularly a fight because the captain of the ship, who's the father of our main character, has been like locked away in his room with no communication to anyone else for a hot minute, for like a concerning amount of time. And it gets to the point where the people start rioting, and then they even shut down and like lock themselves in part of the ship in protest. But none of that matters at this point, because right after they find, like, the people lock themselves into that part of the ship, there's starts to be like some banging around the ship. Spoilers, by the way, we do spoilers here. There's banging around the ship, weird sounds, weird things are happening, and we find out that apparently the reason, and it's not fully clear until later, it's not fully like revealed until later, but basically the reason we ended up leaving the old planet was because there were monsters on there. Like, genuinely, the way the book describes them, my mind hears like Solgaleo from Solgaleo or the Solgaleo Necrozma crossover from Pokemon kind of monsters are just there, and they're significantly stronger than just the human, so they tried to leave to escape them. But in the silos of the ship, what do you know? What could you imagine? What's been eating the food supply? Those monsters. And naturally, oh no, hold on. Holding. Hold on. You say I am still alive. And I say I'm still alive. We're having technical difficulties. Isn't that fun? Ugh, do you start a new stream? Well, we love that. We'll see how that ends up coming through on the channel. That's exciting. I'll just continue as I was. So problem is the monsters are on the ship and it's a horror, so naturally someone goes and opens the silos and lets them loose. And that's essentially the story. The story is us following as they struggle naturally with these fucking absurdly strong and very clever beasts that are killing their crew en masse. And I absolutely loved it. I am not particularly used to horror. This is one of probably the first, if not the first, like horror I've read, and I absolutely adored it. I like anxiety. It did the job of fully spiking my anxiety, and I thought the writing was so good. It is a short horror, but it really does the entire job you're looking for from a horror, you know? It really does just like hit every note. The lines are so good, the writing is so good. There's a scientist character that is so easy to hate. They made so easy to hate. And he does die. I don't think it was brutal enough. Granted, neither is the main character. We agree on that for sure. Let me look at some of the lines I loved. There's a point in it where a part of the story is there's this droid that the scientist has given a code of some sort that is an attempt to try and communicate to someone somewhere in order to get help, and describing some of the attempts at like running the code through this droid. The static warbled into long distant notes. It reminded Jacqueline of recordings she had heard of old sounds from Earth, plaintive humpback whale song, or the dissonance of a tuning orchestra. The notes started to pulse, each throb of noise wavering in pitch, almost like words in some celestial sentence. Like, that is just such a good... It's hard to believe such a short story was able to include such like very descriptive phrases and like chunks of prose, and it all hit so well, and it got to a point where I genuinely just wasn't really even taking notes. I wasn't even stopping to highlight, because even though like the notes on screen here, which by the way, let me just the notes that are on screen, those I take late, like after. I don't do this during the writing. I just highlight whatever, and then I'll take all of the rest of these notes after I've finished the book at the end, and it's almost like revisiting the book for me. And like there was just a point where it was hard to keep doing it because I was just so invested in the book. I didn't even want to stop to just highlight something. Also, the Pokeball is because I believe the ship of our main characters is called the Cassiopeia, and I've been obsessed with Pokemon lately. This was the moment in the book here. Hold your position, stay away from the silos, there's something dangerous in there, don't open the door. And it's like odd reading it in the moment. Reading it was like so much anxiety, but also like pour one out for that person. They're not gonna make it. I have no hope. Violence is the answer in response to said scientist, because fuck him. But yeah, I just adored. Let me see if there's another. Like immediately prior to that scene, the static buzz, and this is a communication between the ships that they're only just now getting. The static buzzed in her ear again, but this time it fizzled into clarity. The last fragment of the message came out loud and clear. Is the Atlanta something Alo Exima? It's the ship. Was Pete warning? Don't Pete, don't. This is Captain Isadora of the Atlanta. Is anyone listening? Please don't open the door. Like that. That's the kind of stuff that just spiked my anxiety. And it's like, you know it's coming, but still, you know it's coming. You know it's just a book. Jump scares don't work in books like this, but I'm still just sitting here tense and anxious for whatever is about to happen. And this book just did it so well. I just adored. There was also another really great line about, because this main character, her father was the captain of the ship. She's now acting captain because he is MIA, and she is essentially the only person left of her family. And this is a line describing like her feeling of like both the history of her place in the family and how like she like and the reality of her family in the moment. And it is, she was the odd Albright out. The helplessness she felt right now, her shortcomings standing out in stark relief, was overwhelming. In the next moment, however, it was overridden by contempt. She was an Albright, but she wasn't Noah Albright, who had disappeared and damned the rest of them. She wasn't Tegan Albright, who had let her fear bring death to her long before it would have come on its own. She wasn't Kimberly Albright, since she was still alive. Like, that's such good writing, and that's a lot of character building in just two paragraphs. It's like, this book was so well written, and I genuinely I could not get enough of this book. I am dying. This book has made me very eager to read more horror. This book has made me very eager to read more by this author. Has this author put out anything else lately? Let me look. I would be down, but I also don't know. But yeah, overall, this book, it was so well done. Ness Brown does not have any other books as far as I can see. At least not available in my library's Libby app. This book, so well done. It's really short, and it's a really short, quick read, but it did everything right. It hit all the beats it needed to, and it hit them extremely well. It hit them with intent, and like, it was, I highly recommend this book. And I'm not even a horror person. This is why I said earlier, back when my TBR was longer, that I wanted to get into horror with a book that I was excited about, because I wanted to try horror, but like, wanted a horror that was something I was actually kind of interested in, even though I had spun on my TBR a couple horrors that I was not super interested in. And I think that this was a very good pick to kind of start that off with. I think I read a YA horror last year. I think one of the books I read last year would also be considered a horror, but I feel like it wasn't scary in any way, if that makes sense. Like, it was gory, but it wasn't scary. It was more, it was more of like dark fantasy versus being horror kind of thing. So like, there were some like tense moments, and there were some like moments with a lot of anticipation. It was nothing like this. I just would not classify that book with this book. Even like, I don't think it's an issue of it having been a YA. I feel like you can do something scary in a YA book. It doesn't necessarily, this book honestly isn't like deeply mature in any way, shape, or form either. So I wouldn't say there was anything here that should it be in a YA book that would be weird kind of thing. Maybe some of the gore, but again, the YA book that I was talking about was gory. It's a whole, let's just say this was the first horror I've read, and maybe that also has impacted my appreciation of it. But I got this as a recommendation, not personal recommendation. I saw this on a booktuber, recommended by a booktuber that was super into horror. So I think it's super fair to say that this book is amazing at what it does. It's a very, very energizing read. Like, I have not felt that much just like genuine, I felt moved by the anxiety the book left me with. Like, it took me like an hour or so to come down from that, and I loved it, and I really want to read more horror, and I have a bit of a TBR. We just need time. We need time. That Otherwise, though, that is all for me. I'll show you again through all of my little doodles and whatnot. Again, Pokeball, because I have a problem. This is the scientist guy, because he is a little creep sitting in his chair in, frankly, the way I sit in chairs, and I'm very offended by that. I'm very offended. There's some fog, the pouring one out. There's some organs in bags, the usual, it's a Tuesday that happens. Forest, and I think it's like Serengeti. I didn't look up the Serengeti, so this is the Serengeti, on fire because humans destroy everything. And again, violence is the answer. And that is all I have for you today. Next time we get around to a book stream, it will be on The Labyrinth Beckons. Hopefully I get to that this month, so that way I can do my quarterly in a reasonable time, and I can start reading and not feel like I'm putting myself even more behind. Fingers are crossed. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, Valedictions, friends.